Hello and welcome to today's episode of Diary of a Coin Dealer. It's part 4 in my installment, which I hope to be a weekly thing. I've been slack due to the reasons I highlighted last month, but I wanted to get back on track. So in these episodes, I literally just talk about how my week's gone. I talk about topics that have been raised with me, new pickups, how my week's progressed. Whether good or bad. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. This week I wanted to talk about the issue of fairness. I recently had I had a run-in with a customer, and I had some dimes up for sale. So for those of you who see my prior video, I actually bought in 500 dimes. It was the second time I've bought dimes in. I've actually sold about 500 in about a month, ranging between 150 to... No, I think I gave someone a discount actually. I think I charged him 140 because he bought them in bulk, up until £2 for the Mercuries and 170 for the high grade, or the higher grade Roosevelts. And he said to me, he's like, I'll give you 95 pence for them. And I just said to him, so I'm not going to dignify that with a response. You can't expect someone to drop from 160 to 95 pence. And he was a young lad, and that's okay. I was raging at the time. I was just like, you just come to my thread and you've absolutely trashed it. But what got to me was, he was like, well, I can source these for 95 pence from the States. And I was like, well, is that true? I was like, firstly, you've got to find someone to buy on your behalf, unless you've got a relative who's going to do it for free. I wouldn't ask anyone to do something for free for me. It either gets a small increment in payment, or I would trade a favour. Then you got to pay for shipping. Then you got to pay for tax, VAT, handling charges. So I highly doubt that you can buy them for 95 pence a coin. Now, I don't have a problem with other people pitching up and competing with me. The market is very fluid. So, for example, another dealer said to me yesterday, he's like, I'm really sorry, but I have to liquidate, and please don't be offended if I'm selling stuff cheap. He actually sold, it was silver. I sold 2 of these for 31. I looked up on eBay, and I think they were either 34 or 36 off the top of my head. So I was like, okay, I'll sell for 31 delivered. And he was selling for 22. And I went to one of my customers, like, I'm really sorry, I feel bad because you've paid a lot more for me, even though I was under the eBay price by a fair amount. And he was like, yeah, I feel pretty bad too. He's like, it's part of the game, it's part of the market, sometimes it happens. I said to the dealer, I was like, well, you could have listed them at 28 and sold the lot, but for whatever reason he wanted to go for 22 plus post, and that's his prerogative. These are fantastic. I recently got these on a 15% eBay deal, both this and this coin here. So yeah, it bugged me. It does happen that people will compete, and I'm perfectly fine with competing. I know I'm very competitive on pricing, and if anything, I support the community. So as long as I can make enough to pay bills, if other people want to get in stock and compete with me on price, and that's great for all parties involved, especially considering that it keeps me on my toes. It means that I have to be at the top of my game for myself and my customers. But it was the way he shut the conversation down that annoyed me. He was just like, well, no further correspondence is needed. And I was like, hang on. I was like, you can't go on someone's thread, trash talk them for price, and then just shut it down. It's just rude more than anything. I don't go to someone's place of work and say, well, I can get it cheaper, and then say, well, no further correspondence is needed. You don't need to talk to me, I can get it cheaper. It's not on. So I don't think I'll be dealing with this young lad again, sadly, which is a shame. I like to keep my customers happy. I like to try and look after them. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with everyone. I work hard for my guys. Some stay the course, some don't. Some come and go and come back again. And that's okay, it's my job to buy and sell coins. As much as I like a lot of the people I deal with, there's going to be times where they don't buy from me or they buy from someone else, and it really isn't anything personal. It's fine. But it made me think about what is fair. Is it fair to trash talk another dealer? No, not really. I've had it in the past where other dealers have trash talked me and I've put them in their place, and quite rightly so. I don't dictate the price of the market, so I take a spectrum of prices and I try and be competitive. You know, I can't be the cheapest on every single coin going. That's ridiculous, because if I'm the cheapest on everything going, then it means I've paid nothing for the coins. You can't have it both ways. You can't turn around and say, well, I hold a certain moral standing, and then rip off the people you're buying from. You know, so I take the moderate view. I like to be fair to both my suppliers and my customers. You know, I'm more aggressive with my suppliers. So, for example, if a supplier's got something going cheap, then I'll take off his hands if it's very cheap. And sometimes that's not a case of he's mispriced. Sometimes it's just a simple case of arbitrage, because he's in a different part of the world where those coins are not valued as highly, and that's perfectly fine. So yeah, I think after that conversation, it really did make me think about, am I being fair to be pissed off with this guy? And I think I am. I think he was rude. My mother taught me better than that. You know, my mother taught me to be polite more than anything. I can be an arsehole, but I will treat everyone how I wish to be treated. You know, I wouldn't come up to his sales thread and be a dick. You know, I try and support my fellow dealers and the community, and in return they pay my bills. It's a fair trade-off, you know. This is fantastic, by the way. Absolutely love this. So yeah, tell me what you think. Is it important to be fair? Should I lower myself to other people's values, or should I maintain my high standing? Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take the moral high ground. I'll be up on my high horse. It's certainly not the case. It's just I believe in fairness as a principle going forward, and that's what I'm going to stick with. You know, I'm okay with that. If it means I make less money in the short run, it will mean I make more money in the long run, because more people will gravitate towards the fact that I'm not trying to rip them off. I try not to rip them off. I occasionally do by accident, because I don't know the value properly. You need to bear in mind that there are hundreds and thousands of coins in the world, and I can't know the value of all. You know, so tell me what you guys think.